Hey guys, Kirk Ream here from Transformation Training and Fitness, and I was just getting ready to do a video about how to do a certain exercise, but something's been on my heart and my mind, so I decided to grab a table and chair here and just talk to you a little bit about some things that have really kind of been bothering me about the fitness industry, about some other things. If you have been a follower of fitness for any amount of time, and it could be a week, it could be years, you have read magazine covers, follow-along workouts, all these things that are promising big results. And the magazine covers are constantly filled with things like, get a better body by this date, 4 weeks to bigger arms, better butt in 8 moves, things like that. And all those things are great things. And they make us buy the magazines, and they make us strive to do these things. And I'm not saying this to discourage you from chasing those things. But the reality is, we are sold bigger arms, better abs, better butts, all these things in the hope that that's going to fulfill us. And we think that when we reach these goals, all of a sudden our life is going to be complete. That's just good marketing. That's what their job is doing. But the reality is, when we reach those goals, if we reach those goals, if it's even possible to reach those goals, we're still left wanting. And then we're looking for the next thing and the next thing. So the one thing that the fitness industry never talks about, which drives me kind of crazy, and I'm part of that industry, so I'm part of the problem as well, is we never talk about what actually drives us. What drives us as individuals, what drives us as a people, as humans. And until we start to address the health of our soul and our spirit, all these other things are going to leave us wanting. All right? So we try to fill up the health of our soul, and we try to make our soul healthy by pursuing these things. And in fitness, it is a better body and a number on a scale or a certain size of an outfit, something like that. In other worlds, it's how much money we make. In the employment world, it's how much money we make, or how many, in the intellectual world, it's how many letters are behind our name. In our work world, it's what office we hold. Are we a CFO, CEO, all these things. And we pursue all these things hoping that they're going to fulfill us and leave us content, and make us content, because we're seeking something. We're seeking something that's going to fulfill us. So we try to go after all these goals, but then all of a sudden we reach those goals, and we're left still wanting, and we wonder, okay, well, maybe it's the next thing, or maybe it's the next thing. Okay, so if I reach a fitness goal, then it's like, okay, I reached it, I've made it, now what do I do? And again, I'm not discouraging you from going after those goals. I think those goals are very important to challenge ourselves physically, to challenge ourselves to get to a certain point, to be the best we can be. But the reality is, unless we address the health of our soul, we will always be left wanting. So that's what we really need to address. We need to address how healthy our soul is. That's what's consuming us. We may not acknowledge it, we may not talk about it, but underneath the surface, all of us have that same longing for one thing, and that's to be loved, and that's to be accepted, and that's to be part of something. So we think if we reach these goals, we'll be loved. People will like us better. We'll like ourselves better. So we go after these things. Well, if I could just lose this certain amount of weight, I'll like me better. People will like me better. But the reality is, that's not the problem. Something is still feeding our soul, or we're not feeding our soul something that it needs. So we need to begin to talk about these things. We need to begin to address these things, whether it's the fitness industry that steps up, whether it's another industry that starts to step up. But it seems to me, if you're in the fitness industry, the health and wellness industry, we need to start discussing this stuff, all right? People are struggling. Our efforts have failed when it comes to obesity. The obesity epidemic, despite the rise of the fitness industry, despite the rise of nutrition products and diets and all these things, obesity is still increasing. And that's because obesity is not a food issue. It's not. It's a soul issue. It's an emotional issue. It's an intellectual issue. It's all these things interconnected, and that's where our soul meets. And that's what we need to start to address. If you're having any type of problems at all, many of them relate back to the inside, okay? We in the fitness industry start to address things from the outside in. Well, if you do this first and this first and this first, then all of a sudden it will take care of the other problems. That's not true. We know that's not true, but we don't know how to sell the other thing, the other bigger issue, and that's what's going on in the inside of people, the inside of me, the inside of you. So we need to be able to address those things. If you're struggling with those things, if you're struggling with something, start to look at the health of your soul. You know, I started this gym called Transformation Training and Fitness almost 10 years ago, and it's certainly evolved, and I've fallen off track at different places and tried different things. But at the heart of it, I remember starting it because I wanted people to know that for 45 minutes out of their day, that they are accepted and loved for who they are. And that's why we started this gym. They could come in here and work out and be who they are for 45 minutes. We've chosen to do that in a group atmosphere because being part of a community is good for the soul. It's good for the body. It's good for the mind. It's good for everything. Movement is good for the soul. But we need to continue to address the health of our soul. Whether you do that individually, in a group, it doesn't matter. Exercise is a good thing. Diet is a good thing. Healthy nutrition is a good thing. Money is a good thing. Job status and all those things are good things. But if we don't get to the root of our problems, we're going to continue to chase things that leave us wanting. And that's what we need to start with. All right. I was just laughing with some coworkers maybe last week, about the amount of people that watch these videos that we put out on exercise and things like that. I mean, viral has never come out of my mouth of any of the words, of any of the videos I've ever made. But when it comes to this video, if one person watches this video and starts to address the health of their soul, then it's worth it. Because at the root of things, we need to know that we're loved. And we need to know that we were made loved. We were made to be loved, and we were loved when we were made. All right, think about that for a second. So if you're struggling with acceptance, if you're struggling with something down deep, the health of your soul starts with being loved and accepted. And if one person watches this and realizes that they're loved, all of a sudden life changes. And that means this video is worth it. When you realize you're loved and your soul starts to grow from a loved and accepted position, all of a sudden we can chase these other things, these better arms and better bodies and better jobs and money and all these things. And we can do that out of fulfillment and contentment of a healthy soul. And we have to start that on the inside. It's not talked about in the fitness industry. It's not talked about many different places. All right? But if we start to address the health of our soul, all of these other goals, all of these other things we're pursuing become worth it and well worth it and become attainable and sustainable because we're starting in a place of fulfillment in our soul. All right, so if one person watches this and it touches them and changes their life, then this has been time well spent. All right, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it challenges you. And if you're in the fitness industry, I hope it challenges you to start to address things bigger than just arms and bodies and diets and things like that, because that's where we're all really struggling. Not on the outside. It's the inside that changes us first, and then the outside comes after.